A new roommate arrives. Evan never thought his quiet life on the space station would change. He liked things simple: work, eat, sleep, repeat. But everything changed the day he got a message. Roommate assigned, arrival, 1800 hours. He frowned. Roommate? He whispered. I didn't ask for one. Still, rules were rules. Space was limited on Station Theta 7 and sharing rooms was common. Evan cleaned up a bit, pushed his things aside, and waited. He expected a tired miner, a loud trader, or maybe a retired soldier, but when the door opened, he froze. She was tall, slim, and not human. Her skin was pale blue, smooth like glass. Her silver eyes blinked slowly. Strange patterns moved under her skin, soft glowing lights like stars. She wore a hood and carried only a small bag. I am Rivka, she said in a soft voice. Evan stood there unsure. You're my roommate? She nodded. If that is acceptable, he swallowed. Yeah, sure, come in. Rivka stepped inside quietly. Her movements were graceful, too graceful. She didn't walk like a person. She almost glided. Evan watched her set down her bag in the corner without a sound. No smile, no questions. She didn't even ask where the bed was. She just sat on the floor and closed her eyes. He tried to break the silence. So, where are you from? She opened one eye. Far. Okay. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. Rivka didn't eat. She didn't sleep. She just sat by the window staring into space. Evan rolled over in bed, glancing at her. You okay? He asked. No answer. He fell asleep eventually, confused but too tired to care. The next day, Evan tried being friendly. He offered her coffee. She refused. He tried asking about her people. She said nothing. He even joked, "You're not going to kill me in my sleep, right?" She didn't laugh. She just stared at him with those glowing eyes and whispered, "No, I need you." Evan laughed nervously, unsure if she was joking or not. That night, something strange happened. Evan was in a deep sleep, but something felt off. Cold air brushed over him. A soft sound, barely a whisper, tickled his ears. He opened his eyes. She was on top of him, not touching, hovering. Her knees on either side of his, legs. Her face just inches from his. Her eyes glowed in the dark. Her long silver hair flowed around her like mist. Her chest moved fast. She looked scared, desperate. What are you doing?" Evan gasped, frozen. "I need something," she said. Her voice trembled. He stared at her. "What do you need?" She looked around, then leaned closer. "They're coming for me." Evan's blood ran cold. "Who's coming?" She didn't answer. She suddenly backed away and stood by the window again. Evan sat up, sweating. Was that a dream? He asked himself. But he saw it, her footprints on the metal floor near his bed. The next morning, Rivka was calm again. She sat by the window, drinking water slowly. Evan walked over. "Okay, listen, last night, what was that? You were over me." She turned her head. "I was watching." "That's not normal." She didn't reply. Her face showed no emotion. Evan felt his heart beat faster. "Look, if you're in trouble, I deserve to know. I'm not just a stranger anymore. We're living together." Rivka looked away. "I cannot tell you yet, but I will." Evan sighed. "You're not making this easy." She finally stood and walked toward him. "If I wanted to harm you, you would already be gone." Evan swallowed hard. He wasn't sure if that was a joke or a warning. Later that evening, he tried to relax by watching news feeds, but the power flickered. Twice. He looked up. "That's not normal," Rivka whispered. From behind him, "They are scanning." Evan turned. "What?" She looked outside the window again. "They're looking for me." "Who?" Rivka said nothing. She pulled her hood up, closed her eyes, and said softly, "Tonight, I'll ask again." Evan stared at her, heart pounding. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what she needed, but he felt it now. His life was no longer simple, and whatever was coming, it was already close. Evan didn't sleep the second night. He stayed awake in bed, eyes wide open, waiting. He could still feel the cold air from last night, still hear her whisper, "They're coming for me." Who was they? And why was Rivka, his alien roommate, watching him while he slept? At midnight, the lights in the room flickered again. A low hum passed through the walls. It wasn't the normal sound of the space station. Something was scanning. Rivka sat by the window just like before, but this time, she turned her head. "You're awake," she said softly. Evan sat up. "Of course I'm awake. After what you did last night, how could I sleep?" She stood slowly and walked toward him. He noticed it now. Her steps made no sound. Her silver eyes reflected the faint lights in the room like mirrors. "I told you I'd ask again," she whispered. Evan swallowed. "Ask what?" Rivka looked at the door, then at the ceiling. "They are closer now. Their ship is near the station." He stood up. "Who are they?" She finally looked him in the eyes. "Hunters." Evan blinked. "Hunters? What do they want?" "Me. And you." "Me? I haven't done anything." Rivka stepped closer. "You're human. That's why you're important. They want my DNA. They want yours too." Evan backed up a little. "Why mine?" She whispered something in a language he didn't understand. Then she said in broken English, "Because your kind is rare. You're compatible." That word made Evan's chest tighten. Compatible for what? Rivka looked down. Her voice cracked. "To make more of me. To breed. To create soldiers." Evan felt sick. "Wait, they use people? For breeding?" She nodded once. "They tried to force me. I ran. I escaped. And now they're after you? And anyone I touch?" she said quietly. Evan froze. "You touched me last night," he said. Rivka looked up. "Yes. So now they've marked you too." Evan paced around the room, his hands in his hair. "I don't believe this. This sounds insane." "You will believe when they come," Rivka said calmly. "What do you want from me, Rivka? Be honest." She stepped closer. "I want a bond." He stopped. "What kind of bond?" "Life bond." "Temporary. It hides us. It confuses their scanners." "You mean like marriage?" She tilted her head. "I don't know your word, but it connects us. Mentally. Emotionally." Evan stared. "Why me?" "Because you're kind. You looked at me and didn't run. You let me stay. You didn't ask too much." Evan sighed. "That's just being human." Rivka smiled faintly for the first time. "Yes, that's what makes you perfect." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the hallway. The walls shook. Rivka grabbed his hand. Her touch was cold but firm. "They're here." Evan's breath caught. He looked out the window. A black ship was docking. The lights in the station turned red. "Evacuation protocol active," said the computer. Rivka pulled Evan toward the storage vent. "Come. If they see you, it's over." Evan hesitated. Wait. What happens? If they catch me? They erase you, use your body, burn your mind." His heart jumped. "Okay. You don't have to tell me twice." They crawled into the narrow vent space. Evan had never been this close to her before. He could hear her heart beating fast. Or was it his own? Inside the dark vent, Rivka whispered, "The bond must be made now, or we won't survive." Evan turned his head. "How do we do that?" She leaned close. "I need to press my forehead to yours and speak the words. You must agree in your heart." "That's it?" She nodded. "And mean it." Evan hesitated. Then, with the sound of boots stomping outside the wall, he closed his eyes. Rivka placed her forehead against his. Her skin was cool. Her voice was soft, barely a whisper. Etatar vimel Evan, shield and bond, no fear, no lies. He didn't understand the words, but something deep inside him responded. The vent shook, but this time something glowed between them, a soft light like stars spinning in their minds. Evan gasped. "What is that?" "Our bond," she whispered. "Now we are harder to find." Footsteps passed by their hiding place. One voice growled, "I smell her. I smell something else." Another voice replied, "Impossible. She's gone cold, and the human can't trace him." The footsteps faded. Evan looked at Rivka. "Did it work?" She looked tired but smiled. "Yes, you saved both of us." He nodded slowly. "Okay, so now what?" She leaned back against the vent wall. "Now, we run, and you learn who I really am." Evan didn't know what he'd just agreed to, but something told him this was only the beginning. The vent was cold, dark, and narrow. Evan sat in silence, his back pressed against the metal wall. His heart was still racing. The glow between his and Rivka's foreheads had faded, but the feeling was still there. A strange connection, like he could feel her fear, and something else too. She leaned her head back and closed her eyes. "They've moved on," she whispered. "For now." Evan turned to her. "You said you're hiding from them, but you never said who they are." She opened her eyes slowly. "They are called the Draken. They are not from my world. They are from the dark zones. They steal people of many species. They experiment, combine, create monsters." Evan's throat went dry. "And they were using you?" She nodded once. "I was their favorite. I had the blood of the royal line, but I ran before they could finish what they started." Evan blinked. "Wait, royal? Are you saying you're a princess?" She looked away. "In my world, yes, I was." He sat back. "You could have mentioned that before." "If I had," she said quietly, "you would have treated me differently." Evan thought about it. Maybe she was right. "So, now you're what? Hiding out in a human station as someone's roommate?" She gave a sad smile. "It was not my plan. But when I saw you, I knew I had one last chance." Evan looked at her carefully. There were things he hadn't noticed before. The tiny scar near her jawline, the way she flinched at loud sounds, the symbols tattooed behind her ear, symbols that glowed faintly when she was scared. "You're hurt," he said. She didn't reply. He moved closer. "Show me your back." She stiffened. "I won't judge," Evan said gently. "But I need to know how bad it is." After a pause, Rivka turned around and pulled her shirt down. Slightly, Evan's stomach turned. Across her back were brands, burned-in marks of different alien languages, barcodes, ownership stamps. Some were fresh, some looked years old. "They marked you like property," he whispered. She nodded. "I was sold many times. My value kept going up. Because of your blood? And my DNA. They wanted to copy me, breed me, mix me with other species." Her voice trembled. "You were next." Evan shook his head. "Why me?" Rivka turned. "Because human DNA is rare, strong. They only have a few samples. And they know that humans and royal blood create powerful hybrids." He looked stunned. "So I was a target?" "Yes," she said. "But I chose you first." Suddenly, the station lights flickered again. Rivka's eyes narrowed. "They're still scanning." Evan stood. "We can't stay here forever." "No," she agreed. "But there's something I must show you." If you're truly with me now, I need to reveal everything. Evan nodded. I'm listening. She tapped the side of her neck. A tiny light blinked under her skin. A hologram projected from her palm. It showed a map of a planet, then a large facility, then her inside a chamber floating in liquid. Evan stared. Is that you? Yes, she said. I was grown there, not born. My mother was a queen, but my body was altered. Faster healing, stronger, senses, controlled emotion. But when I started asking questions, they said I was broken. She turned to Evan, voice shaking. They wanted to break me completely, so I ran. He was silent for a moment, then he asked, What happens if they catch you again? They'll wipe my memory, use me to make more copies, or sell me back to the labs. Evan clenched his fists. We won't let that happen. Rivka looked up. You're sure? He nodded. You're not just a roommate anymore. You're my friend, and maybe more. Then a loud noise echoed through the pipes. Boom. Evan and Rivka both froze. A robotic voice called out from overhead. Unauthorized life forms detected in Sector 6. That's close, Evan whispered. They're tracking again, Rivka said. The bond is fading. You're in danger. What do? We move. There's a human engineer on level 9. He knows how to hack their scanners. We must reach him. Evan nodded. Then let's go. They opened the vent panel slowly and slipped out. The hallway was dark, flashing with red lights. Evan moved carefully. Rivka followed without a sound, like a shadow beside him. They reached the lift, but it was dead. We'll have to take the maintenance ladder, Evan said. Rivka looked up the endless shaft. I hope you're strong, human. He smirked. I am. But we'll need each other now. As they began to climb, Rivka looked down at him and said softly, I wasn't supposed to feel emotions, but I feel something around you. Evan looked up. What is it? She smiled faintly. Hope. The ladder shook as Evan climbed. His hands were slick with sweat, and the metal rungs were cold. Rivka moved above him like a whisper, fast, quiet, and calm. But his heart wasn't calm. Every few seconds, the red emergency lights flashed. The station was no longer safe. The Draken were inside now. They've breached the lower decks, Rivka whispered. If they reach level 6 before us, we're trapped. Evan gritted his teeth. Then we move faster. Rivka stopped suddenly and looked down at him. There's something I haven't told you, she said. Evan sighed. Great. More secrets? Yes, she answered. And this one may change everything. They reached a maintenance hatch on level 6. Rivka opened it and led Evan into a narrow hallway. It smelled like oil and dust. Old wires hung from the ceiling. This way, she said. The engineer I spoke of, his name is Cray. He owes me a favor. Evan raised an eyebrow. Why would a human engineer owe a royal alien girl a favor? Rivka looked back. Because I saved his daughter from the labs. They reached a storage room. Rivka knocked 3 times on a metal panel. Small slot opened, a wrinkled human eye peered through. Password. Rivka spoke in her alien tongue. The metal door clicked and opened. Inside stood a short, gray-haired man with glowing tools strapped to his belt. Cray, she said. He frowned. You brought someone. He's not marked, is he? Evan stepped forward. Actually, I'm bonded to her. Cray blinked. You what? It was the only way to hide, Rivka said quickly. Cray sighed. Then we better hurry. They're already scanning the pipes above this level. Cray led them into his workshop. There were screens, blinking lights, and weapons made from station scraps. I've got a jammer, Cray said. But it only works in bursts. It can confuse the Draken scanners for 30 seconds at a time. 30 seconds? Evan asked. Better than nothing, Cray replied. Rivka sat down, looking tired. Her glow was fading. She's getting weaker, Evan said. The bond is draining her energy, Cray explained. It protects you more than it protects her. Evan felt a punch in his chest. She never told me that. Rivka looked up. I didn't want to scare you. Suddenly, one of the screens turned red. Sensor alert. Draken warrior detected in Sector 6B. They're here, Cray said. 1 level below. Rivka stood, but her knees shook. Evan caught her before she fell. You need to rest. No, she said. If they reach us, they'll kill Cray. We move now. Evan looked at the old man. Can your jammer move with us? Cray handed him a small device. Strap this to your arm. Press the button when you need cover. Rivka reached out and touched the device. It glowed softly. I added a signature scrambler, she whispered. Just in case. The trio stepped into the hallway. The air felt heavier now. The lights flickered faster. Somewhere below, metal scraped against metal. The Draken were close. As they moved, Rivka suddenly stopped. What is it? Evan asked. She turned slowly, then pointed. Behind them, a Draken warrior emerged. It was huge, 7 feet tall with black armor and burning red eyes. Its hands looked like claws dripping with green fluid. Run! Cray shouted. Evan hit the jammer. A loud pulse rang out. The Draken paused, confused. Go now! Rivka cried. They ran down the hall, turning corners past broken panels and dark doors, but the Draken began chasing again. Faster this time. He's adapting, Cray yelled. The jammer won't work again. Rivka stopped at a sealed door. Inside, she said. Evan slammed the button. The door opened. They rushed in, just in time. Boom. The Draken slammed into the metal. The door held, for now. Evan breathed hard. What do we do now? Rivka pulled out a small cube. This one was my mother's. It holds the coordinates to a safe zone, but it only works once. Is there a ship on this level? Evan asked Cray. Yes, Cray said. A single-seater. Scout ship, it'll be tight for 3. We won't all fit, Evan said. No, Rivka whispered. Just 2. She held out the cube to Evan. You and Cray go. Evan stepped back. No way. I'm not leaving you. You have to. You bonded with me. You protected me. Now it's my turn. Cray sighed. You both are insane. The door behind them started to crack. A claw punched through the metal. Rivka looked at Evan, her eyes glowing weakly. There's one more thing about our bond, she said. What now? Evan said. If I die, you feel it, every second of it. Evan stared at her. Then I won't let that happen. Suddenly, Evan picked up a power rod from the wall. If this thing's coming in, he said, we fight. Rivka stood beside him, weak, glowing, but proud. You really are different, she whispered. Evan smiled. That's what being human means. The metal door bent inward with a loud screech. The Draken warrior on the other side roared, slamming its claws. Again and again. One strike, then another, until sparks flew from the frame. Inside the room, Evan stood holding a power rod like a bat. It hummed with a soft blue charge. He had no training, no plan, but he wasn't going to run. Not without Rivka. She stood beside him, weak but glowing again, just a little. Her hand touched his shoulder. Our bond is changing, she whispered. How? You're giving me strength now, instead of me giving it to you. Evan turned to her. Is that supposed to happen? No, she said softly. It's never happened before. Suddenly, a piece of the door flew across the room. The Draken's face pushed through the hole, black and shiny, with sharp metal teeth and glowing red eyes. You will come with us. It growled in a voice that shook the walls. Rivka grabbed Evan's hand. We must sink. He didn't ask what that meant. She leaned her forehead against his. Just like before. But this time something was different. This time he saw inside her. Flashes. Memories. A cold lab. Rivka as a child. Locked in a glass tank. Screams of others like her. Some pulled away. Some never came back. Scientists poking her with tools, machines that buzzed around her mind, the same symbol on her back, glowing with heat. Pain, loneliness, terror. Then, the memory of Evan's face. The first time he opened the door to their shared room, her heart beating fast and something new. Hope. The connection broke. Evan stepped back, eyes wide. "I saw your life," he whispered. "And I felt yours," Rivka said gently. "You have sadness too. You hide it with smiles." He didn't answer. There was no time. The Draken burst. Through the door, it stepped into the room with a heavy growl, its eyes locked on them. Evan stepped forward. "You're not taking her." The warrior laughed. "You? A weak human?" Rivka raised her hand. "Then take us both," she said. The room shook. Their bond flared again, stronger than before. Evan felt her fear and her strength mixing with his. He felt her heartbeat, as if it were his own. "Now!" Rivka shouted. Evan threw the power rod with all his strength. It hit the Draken's shoulder and exploded with blue light burning off its armor. The warrior roared. Rivka jumped forward, pressing her palm against its chest. A symbol on her hand lit up, and energy burst from her skin. The Draken screamed, then dropped. Smoke filled the room. Evan helped Rivka stand. She was shaking. "You used your life force," he said. She nodded. "That was my last defense." He held her close. "Then we need to finish this, fast." Cray appeared at the broken door, panting. "I hacked the scout ship," he shouted. "She's ready." Evan looked at Rivka. She was barely standing. Cray held up the cube. "This will take her home. But what about you?" Evan didn't blink. "I'm going with her." Cray frowned. "Even if it means you can't come back?" Evan looked down at Rivka. "I've got no one back here. She's the only thing that makes sense now." The group rushed down the hallway, passing dead lights and broken pipes. More Draken ships were approaching, but they didn't stop. They reached the docking bay. The scout ship was small, round and glowing faintly. Cray opened the hatch. "This is where I leave you." Rivka stepped forward but stumbled. Evan caught her. "Can you fly?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not without you." He smiled. "Good. Thing I always wanted to see the stars." They entered the ship, the door sealed shut. Outside, the Draken screamed in anger. Evan placed the cube into the console. The ship powered up. Rivka lay in the co-pilot seat, eyes closing. "Evan," he held her hand. "I'm here." The ship launched, just as the Draken ships fired. Flames licked the edges of their ship. But they were gone, vanishing into warp. Silence. Stars filled the windows. Evan looked at her. "Did we make it?" Rivka opened her eyes slowly. "Yes. But this is not the end." Evan laughed softly. "It never is." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "You were more than I expected," she whispered. "And you were never just a roommate," he said. They drifted through space together, two souls bonded by danger, pain, and something else. Something growing. The stars outside the ship shimmered like a quiet sea of lights. Evan sat beside Rivka, her hand resting in his. She hadn't spoken since they escaped. Her breathing was shallow, her glow dim. Evan turned to her, whispering, "Are we close?" Her eyes opened slightly. Almost. The ship's console beeped, a glowing map appeared, circles of stars, blinking dots, and one name flashing in soft gold, Velhar. "That's your home?" Evan asked. Rivka nodded. It was, before the labs, before the hunters. The ship began to slow. The stars blurred and twisted as they exited warp. Then, a blue planet came into view. Evan leaned forward. "It's beautiful." Mountains floated, in the clouds. Giant trees rose higher than buildings. The ocean sparkled like crystal. But something felt wrong. No ships flew in the sky. No lights blinked from cities. It was too quiet. As the ship landed in a forest clearing, Evan stepped out and looked around. The air smelled sweet and sharp, like flowers and storm clouds. Rivka followed, moving slowly. Her skin glowed faintly, now, but her eyes were sad. This place was once alive, she said. Now it's just breathing. Evan turned. What happened here? She didn't answer. She walked to a stone altar nearby, broken and overgrown. She touched it. Symbols lit up under her fingers. Suddenly a hologram appeared. A tall alien. Woman with a crown, glowing with golden light, Rivka whispered. My mother. The image spoke. To the one who carries my blood. If you are hearing this, then the council is gone. The empire has fallen, and the dark ones have reached the core. Evan's heart sank. The voice continued. They wanted to control us. They used our own kind against us. They turned our cities into labs, and our children into tools. Rivka closed her eyes. She knew what they were planning, even then. Evan watched the hologram of her mother fade. Then he turned to Rivka. You brought me here for a reason. Tell me the truth now. Rivka sat down on a stone step. You already know most of it. But not all, Evan said. Why me? Why bond with a human? Why take such a big risk? She looked at him, eyes filled with emotion. Because I saw you years ago. Evan blinked. What? In the lab, she said softly. They showed us footage of humans, videos from Earth, from colonies. Most were weak or cruel, but then I saw one man help a dying alien girl. No reward, no fear. He just helped. She smiled faintly. That man was you. Evan was speechless. How did you see that? They watch everything, she said. They collect kindness like it's dangerous because kindness inspires rebellion. Evan sat down beside her. I didn't know anyone was watching. But I was, she whispered. Then she reached into her cloak and pulled out a silver shard, a piece of her royal crest. I want you to have this, she said. Evan shook his head. I'm no prince. No, Rivka said. But you are something rarer, a human with honor. That means more than blood. Before he could reply, a sound echoed through the trees. Metal. Marching. Evan stood, eyes wide. They followed us here? Rivka nodded slowly. I left a trail in the warp. I was too weak to cover it. Evan looked around. We can't fight them here. No, she said, standing. But we can wake the Guardian. He stared. The what? Rivka led him to a hidden panel inside a large tree trunk. She pressed her hand against it and the ground rumbled. A platform rose from the earth covered in vines and crystals. Inside it, a giant figure slept. Not machine. Not fully alive either. It looked like a dragon made of metal and stars. What is that? Evan whispered. My people's final protector, Rivka said. It only awakens for the bonded. Evan's eyes widened. You mean us? She nodded. You must touch its heart with me. Together. The marching grew louder. Evan took her hand. They stepped forward. Together they touched the glowing orb in the center of the creature's chest. Light exploded. The forest shook. The creature opened. Its eyes, two burning suns. The Draken appeared at the tree line. But the Guardian stood tall. Alive. Awake. Ready. Rivka looked at Evan, her voice strong again. We're not running anymore. He smiled. Then let's show them what a human and a royal can do. The Guardian towered over the forest, glowing with silver light. Its wings, made of crystal and metal, slowly unfolded. The sky above turned dark as Draken warships flew into the atmosphere. 10, maybe more. Rivka stood at the front of the platform, her hair lifting in the strange wind. Her glow was brighter now, stronger than Evan had ever seen. but something. In her eyes, King was different. He stood beside her, holding the silver crest she had given him. "They're coming fast," Evan said, watching the skies fill with enemy ships. Rivka nodded. "This is the final stand." Evan looked at her confused. "But we have the Guardian. We can fight, escape, survive." Rivka turned to him, her voice quiet. "I didn't bring you here to run." He blinked. "What do you mean?" Rivka stepped closer. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for his. "The Guardian is tied to the royal bloodline," she said, "but it needs something else to activate its final power." "What is it?" he asked. "A life. One freely given." Evan's breath caught. "You mean a sacrifice?" She nodded once. He pulled his hand away. No, Rivka. We'll find another way." "There is no other way," she said. "The Guardian can wipe the Draken army, but only if I give myself fully to its core." Evan shook his head, stepping back. "You can't ask me to just watch you die." "I'm not asking," she said gently. "I'm telling you what must be done." Evan turned away, fists clenched. "You said our bond was rare, that I made you stronger. Doesn't that mean something?" She placed her hand on his back. "It does. That's why I chose you, not just to survive with me, but to remember me." He turned slowly. His eyes were wet now. "What if I don't want to remember? What if I just want you here?" She smiled softly. "Then hold me now, just once, and let that moment last forever." Above them, Draken dropships landed. Warriors stepped out with weapons raised. The forest echoed with growls and commands, but the Guardian stood ready. Rivka walked toward the crystal heart in its chest. Evan followed, holding her hand. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. She turned to him. Then, for the first time, kissed him. It was soft, slow, but filled with everything they had been through: fear, pain, hope, and something more. "Love." She pulled away, eyes shining. "One final request," she whispered. Evan nodded, barely able to speak. "Anything. Don't let the galaxy forget kindness." He swallowed hard. "I won't." She stepped into the crystal chamber. They sat. Guardian closed its chest around her. The light inside turned gold, then blinding white. Evan fell to his knees as the platform shook. A beam of light shot into the sky, tearing through the clouds. The Draken screamed as their ships turned to ash. One by one they exploded, burning like fireflies in the sky. The forest roared with wind and flame. And then silence. The Guardian stood still now. No glow, no breath, just still. Evan ran to it, pounding on its chest. "Rivka." No answer. He sank to the ground. Alone. Hours passed. The sky cleared. A warm breeze moved through the trees. Then, the crystal heart opened. Evan jumped to his feet. Inside was not a body. It was a seed, glowing, alive. Cray arrived in a shuttle. He stared at the destruction, the silence, the sky. What happened here? Evan handed him the seed. She became something more. Cray nodded slowly. "And what about you?" "I made a promise," Evan said. Years later, a new world was built on Velhar. A city named Rivkara stood at the base of the Guardian's resting place. Evan became its leader, not as a king, but as a man who once held the hand of someone who changed everything. And near the Guardian's foot grew a tree. Tall, glowing, beautiful. A tree unlike any other in the galaxy. It whispered in the wind, not in words, but in memory.